Hey, this is George.
Hey, this is Fred.
This is Real Talk with George and Frazier. What's going
Yes,
on, brother?
sir.
How are you?
I'm doing good, brother. How you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good, man. It's the weekend, so I'm pretty excited about that. Except we got a snowstorm blowing up our way.
Whoa,
Um, yeah, it's going to be coming down, I guess, Sunday all the way through Monday. So I was outside earlier,
getting ready
fixing the snow plows and
to
everything,
start
turning
ready.
them on and everything, making sure I have enough salt. I mean, you don't got to worry about that in Miami, but up here,
Yeah, I'm just saying. He took right up my. I said, "Hey, I'm in Miami, brother.
yeah,
You
I
know what
understand.
no
I
snow
can dig
look
it.
like? You see
Yeah.
raindrops though. You would count that as snow.
I can dig it. I can dig it. Rub it in, rub it in. Listen, man, we had a great show last night, man. With Cannon on the show, Brendan Cannon. We had a great show on Monday, and I can tell y'all we got another banger. We got Von Graves on the show, and I'm gonna let you explain. I'm gonna let him explain rather who he is and what he's done. Von, welcome to the show.
I appreciate y'all for having me on the show.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Tell the listeners and the fan a little bit about you and your business.
Yeah, for sure. So, Von Graves, born in Mansfield, Ohio, but originally, from Columbus. I graduated from Ohio University, back in 2013, and I had started my own label while I was in school. So, a lot of experience as far as like just touring and was schedule my classes around tour dates and things like that. Managing artists at the same time, so I always kind of had like a vision and the drive to really want to own my own music business. Um, I graduated from college and ended up moving out to Los Angeles. This is in like 2015. Moved out there and didn't have any money, just had a dream, wanted to do music like the artists, and moved to California because we just feel like, once we move to Cali, everything is gonna happen for us. And so moved out there, but my path ended up taking, a different turn. Didn't have a
It
lot of money.
always does. It always does.
I didn't have a lot of money. Didn't have a lot of options. But I ended up linking up with a friend of mine as soon as I landed, who I known from a long time ago. But I remember in college he was always very smart and always a part of all these conferences and stuff. His whole thing was tech and like computer science and stuff. And so he had always been trying to urge me to think bigger than just the music and apps and video games and things like that. And I just really wasn't ready for it at the time. So when I moved out there, I really didn't have a lot of options. He told me that he was starting this program where he had a house full of different tech and developers and stuff from that were all working on, trying to build the next Snapchat or the next Spotify or whatever. And I started noticing, me, I come from a music background, so I don't have a tech background. I just happen to have a relationship with him. So I didn't really bring a lot of value to the house in the beginning. But being able to learn and hear these conversations that they're having, I started seeing how much um, financial gain and how much opportunity was within that tech space. But they were leveraging a lot of music and the likeness and the culture of people like me, other artists and creatives and stuff in order to sell their product.
Yep.
And really, all they needed was someone to download the album, and then they leveraged those numbers of downloads to go make billions of dollars, and sometimes hundreds of billions of dollars. Uh, so to me, I saw a gap there, and I saw a disconnect, and I started noticing the type of people that were building the platforms that artists like myself were trying to get on. They didn't look like me, and they didn't come from backgrounds like myself either. So they really didn't have any connection to artists like myself. And so the deeper I got into it, the light bulb went off, and I thought
Uh
of
huh.
use it. And I thought about this world of undiscovered music, but if music is just a marketing tool that's selling products, then how can we artists? How can I empower artists to start at least owning all or some of the products that their music is selling in the first place? And then to add on to that, what kind of tech and innovation that we can bring to the music industry, but actually have a piece of the pie, because the money and stuff is over here, but all the talent and stuff is over here. And so how can we gain control of that using our talents and stuff to do it? And I noticed that, even streaming platforms like Spotify, there's such a gap even in why artists even make money from streams in the first place. Like that's not the fairest way to compensate an artist for the value that they bring. In an app, especially an app like Spotify, when their whole app is based on music. If there's no music or no artist on the app, then there is no purpose for the app. And so, really, instead of streams, artists should be getting paid in almost like stock, in a sense, where the amount of streams that you generate or users that you brought the platform should equate to some number of stock that you've earned in that company, so that when the company does explode and goes public like Spotify did, artists are compensated based on that value and not the whatever they said a stream is worth. And so a lot of concepts. So music was formed off of the concept that, there's a lot of stuff that's wrong with the music industry, and there's also a lot of opportunity, um, for artists, especially right now, with everything being so weird. A lot of opportunity and a lot of untapped things to do. And so music is a multimedia company, but we have a recording studio in Columbus, Ohio. I'm actually in our headquarters right now. So we have a 3,500 square foot facility where we have three
Nice.
recording studios, a full movie production studio. We have a full concert venue, stage room.
You
We're
said
actually,
movie production?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Nice,
Yeah,
nice.
we're building a virtual reality arcade, just to have other means and ways for artists to express themselves and ways that they can engage with their audiences and their fans. So just being really forward thinking. But we also have a smaller studio that's being built that should open up at the end of this month, if not early March. That's in Inglewood, California. And then the goal for next year is to open up another one in Charlotte, North Carolina. And so I want to create these bridges, using our studios to do so, and then from there being able to build out and really kind of create that community aspect that I think music is really missing right now. Really, the world with everything so disconnected, um, we're really in a lack of community, especially for Black people.
You hit it right on the head. The reason why I didn't say anything, man, because I was listening to you intently with a lot of things that were going on, because that's exactly what we need. There's a big gap in our communities to where we don't get a lot of the offerings that our kids, well, we didn't have it, but our children now and counterparts don't have that either. Like, for instance, STEM programs and robotic development
Right,
programs. I mean, how often do you hear or see, unless they come from wealth, kids in our neighborhoods or our communities getting scholarships to robot camp? Okay.
right,
Or, you know, getting into a STEM program where app development or
right.
CAD training or computer aid design or anything, graphics, computer graphics, anything that would take them to the next level is given to them. A lot of artists, so that we have on the show, they are all self-taught, whether they self-taught themselves music or they taught themselves how to use Cakewalk on a computer or whatever editing software it is right now to record a track, edit it, master it, and then put it out on SoundCloud, Spotify, or whatever it is. That's all stuff that we just pick up tinkering around, no formal education. And so because
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't mean to cut you off, but even to that point, again, we're collectively we group think. We use our group think as Black people and our influence to make things that we don't own really valuable, and
exactly,
don't benefit from that value. And so even the app like Clubhouse, we don't own that app, but we are going to make them billions of dollars because we're all congregating to that. We don't. We're not trying to create our own platforms, that do the things that we use every day. You know what I
right,
mean? And and
right,
that, and that could come from just a lack of trust, but also just being a businessman myself, and also trying to. I've been doing this for a couple of years now, and just seeing some of the hiccups and some of the falls and stuff. It's also just a lack of assistance. We don't have a lot of resources, and even though they say that they offer, um, resources and stuff for us, it's still a ceiling. Like it's still a certain level that, you don't reach unless, um, unless you take enough money to where it's not even yours anymore. you know, and I think that's a lot of times that's what happens too is uh, we have a great idea and then we go and we get venture capitalist funding to scale it, um, and then it's no longer what it was when we took it to them in the first place, and we don't really have a lot of authority in that because we just took 150 $300 million from some company, with a bunch of lawyers and all of that stuff, and so we kind of get knocked off track. I know if we were to take that route, we wouldn't be in the location that we're in right now, which is in the hood, but it's
Well,
not.
the thing is, not to cut you off, I just want to interject. Hold your thought because what you're saying is absolutely right. But I also want to add on to that about funding angel investors and venture capitalists. Okay. We don't have enough education. Our biggest problem in our community, I say our community, people of color, black people, people, Hispanics, anybody that is seen, quote unquote, as a risk to funding. All
Right,
right.
right.
That's who I'm addressing right now. We don't have enough education in place before we take our ideals to them. Look, you were talking about apps. Apps is what makes the world go round. Until Google and Apple started putting limits on apps that they would accept into their stores, everybody was developing an app. That term, there's an app for that. There was a reason why in the early 2000s to 2010 that phrase became public because everybody was dropping apps. You see what I mean? But we have the ideals, but we don't have the know-how, the consultation, and everything else to say, look, and this has happened to me. You have a great ideal. You go to somebody who has ideals, VC money, anything of that nature,
Hmm.
and you tell them your ideal. What happens basically is they love the ideal. So you'll have people that'll come in and be like, "Man, this kid has a great idea, and if I plug him into my Rolodex, I know that we can make money like this." They're not invested in the ideal long term, 10, 15, 20 years. They're invested in the ideal short term, 3 to 5 years to dump it, get a boatload of money, and go back on to the next thing that they're doing. Okay, that's their job. We're so happy to get that little bump or to be in the room that we like, no. Second thing that happens, sorry?
No, no, no. Go ahead. I don't want to interrupt. Go ahead.
No, what I was saying, the second thing that happens is we have a good ideal, but we don't know how to protect our ideals, either through copyright, either through legal means, before we give those ideals to something else, to somebody else to look or review. So what happens is somebody will look at our ideal, manipulate it just by 5 to 10%, and then
Right,
it's a whole new idea that they'll take and profit on. You'd be like, yo, that's my ideal. But you didn't have any legal protection for it.
right,
Third thing is when it comes to VC and angel money investing, because I've done this for businesses that I've been in, real estate. I tried to pitch a reality show a couple of years ago, is the fact that you have to be willing to lose a little bit. In other words, you always got to give something up before you get something.
hmm,
What a lot of people don't understand is when you go to hard money lenders, investors, angel investors, whatever it is, by the time it's all said and done, you only really own 12 to 17%. There's phrase. You only own 12 to 17% of your company by the time it's all said and done.
right,
Like you said, I'm going to give this back to you in a minute, but I just wanted to let the listeners understand the bridge and the gaps of what happens when it comes to funding. What
right,
happens is you have a tech guy from, let's say, Silicon Valley in California that understands your idea, wants to take it, and he's bringing $300 million to the table, right?
right,
So, how much can you own if all you have is an ideal and a small track record? Let's say your company is only making on a good year $500,000 a year. He
hmm,
sees the growth potential and he says, if I bring $300 million, I can make this $1 billion company in 2 to 3 years based on X, Y, and Z valuations, you name it, right? So what
right,
happens? Now you say, okay, well, I'm going to do that. Well, in order for him to do that, there's the fifth thing is investing. You have the money that you bring, friends and family, that's the first round. The second round, you have either venture capital or angel money. They have to take a piece of that company. So let's say you had $50,000 that you and your family put in to get the idea off the ground. Venture capital came in with $1 million to get you to that $10 million company. Now you got a VC guy that's going to come in with $300 million. You see what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
Now the venture capital people will not take anything less. They already said for this $1 million that we're bringing to the company, we're taking 40% of your company and the valuation. You see what I mean? VC guy comes in with $300 million and say there's only 60% of the company left. We're taking 55% for 300 million. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Right.
now you've given away 90% of your company for
Right.
the initial part. Now you have split with family and friends, the ones that help you put that 50,000 in the beginning. You have to split that 10% with them, whatever your deal was to
Yeah.
get
Right.
that 50,000. So I wanted to explain that to the listeners. That's how you
Absolutely.
lose your company. That's how you lose your company,
Yeah.
your thing that you put in place. Upside
Absolutely.
to that is if you say, okay, well, they put 300 million in. Now the company has a $500 million valuation, X, Y, and Z. What's 10% of $500 million? I'm good with it. If you're
Right.
comfortable with that.
Yeah.
What you see happen, and this is the third and final thing on the upside that I'm going to talk about before I let you speak, is we don't get that far. The ideal gets stolen and the ideal gets dead. The reason why the ideal gets dead is because some people see it as competition and we got to kill it before it gets started,
Right.
or they go right out and they steal the ideal. And the problem with that is the person that created the ideal knows the beginning, the middle, and the end. Okay. I know that ideal that I put in my head from the start to the middle to the finish. You can steal their ideal, but you can't complete it because it's my ideal. It's my
Right. Right.
thought. You see
Exactly.
what I'm saying? It's so
Exactly.
what happens is
Right.
they take the idea, they run with it, and it fails. And then people look at you and go, "Oh, weren't you that person that had the idea? The company failed in 5 years." Well, yeah, it failed in 5 years because they stole the ideal and they didn't come to the completion that I had in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
This is my
Absolutely.
final point. That's why a lot of successful businesses, when they have an exit strategy and the person who owned the company becomes the CEO and manager, that's why they have those sunset clauses where they be like, okay, we're going to buy your balance 10%. You built a multi-million dollar company, but here's the caveat: you can't work in this business for 3 or 4 years after you leave. Why? Because if I was able to make a $500 million with you, I can turn around and make a $500 million for
Yeah.
myself and keep 100% of it.
Exactly.
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 See what
Exactly.
I'm saying? So
Exactly.
finish your thought when you were saying that, Bond. Finish your thought. But like I said, I wanted to put those things into context because people like us here in our communities, we don't get those full pictures. We don't get the opportunity to be in the rooms to have those kind of conversations
Right.
so people can make smart decisions about company valuations. How much do you give up of your company in the initial stage and
Right.
why I'm stuck where I am 3 years down the line where I gave away 90% of my company. I'm miserable and I'm just watching all of them make bank
Yeah.
while I'm still working 80 hours a week. If I choose, and if I don't, then I walk away and sell my balance 10%, and that's
Right.
it. So that's the thought process
Right.
that happens a lot of times to us, and we don't even realize that it's happening. We're just happy to be in the room.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And another thing too is that I think that even from and I'm just speaking from artists now. You know, what I mean, as an artist and entrepreneur, me understanding both how artists think about things and then how business people think about things, and really trying to find where is the harmony
The
between
happy
the two.
medium. Yeah, the
Yeah,
happy medium.
right. But another note thing that I noticed when I was in the house with the app developers is I'm noticing the product that they're working on. So I'll see a white kid, you know, that studies computer science or something. He's sitting on his computer and he's building an app, right? And he spends hours on his computer in a program, a software that he downloaded to build a product.
Right.
And I'll see another kid that is also very, very, very talented that is making a beat. And he is sitting on a computer with the software pulled up, inputting things in it in order to create a product. Now this kid over here that makes this product that is black, this kid over here that makes this product is white. The process and the product is still a digital, it's still intellectual property. So they're both doing the same exact thing, except for this dude that makes the beat is selling his beat for, at best, if he's like a super producer, on a certain level, 500 to $2,000 a beat. This person over here is developing an app that at the least will get acquired by a company that'll look at it and be like, all right, I like the parts. I'll just rebrand it and turn it into something else. But he's going to get acquired for 15,000, 20, sometimes $1 million. You know what I'm saying? Hundreds of thousands of dollars for his work, and they spent the same amount of hours, and they used the same MacBook computer, and you both use software and everything. And there's this huge value difference between the two. Now, this doesn't exist without this, though. You know what I'm saying? A bunch of these. And so that's not fair. And then a lot of times the artists don't even get compensated from acquisitions and stuff. Yep. They're not a part of that, even though the value that they brought the company is the reason why it was that in the first place. And so stuff like that, is really what inspired why I wanted to start using all the different ideas and that we have, solutions that we're working on, to do stuff. And then also just building, again, a sense of community, because when I was developing the app, the problem that I had, and this was 3 years ago, we were able to launch a beta for a streaming platform. We also were developing a cryptocurrency, because to me, I was looking at it like, all right, well, the only way for an artist to really be able to receive shares of a streaming platform is if the streaming platform had its own cryptocurrency, and then the artist received that, and then based on the perceived value of that company, it correlates it to whatever the value of what the artist is earning or whatever. So as we grow, so does the earnings of the artist grow. So we started developing it, and Facebook, and when we started promoting it, it started to gain a little traction. And then once we got traction, we got stopped. So that's when links to our website were banned, and you couldn't communicate. They shut our page down. They blocked us, and they wouldn't really just explain why we were blocked and stuff. And so a lot of that stuff happened for a year, which was costing me more money than I had, and I didn't really have like resources or the lawyers to really be able to combat and battle Facebook or any platform I needed to really get my idea out there. So they kind of suffocated it, you know what I mean? And I had to go back to the drawing board. What I realized was, in that time, there were a lot of other companies that were seeing what I was doing and saw, they were opportunists. So they saw opportunity in it. A lot of them were white. It was on all levels. Local level, it was this little, they're still out right now, but they were a little group of white kids out of Wisconsin. They were in college, and they saw what we were doing, and they launched their app, and they were able to scale it in a month. You know what I'm saying? Something that took me, a year and a half just to get a beta for. They got the app out in a month. You know what I mean? Already had 200, had Neo, you know what I mean? Already endorsing them and stuff. They were able to make a lot of moves a lot faster because they have access to money a lot faster. Banks take bigger risk on them. You know what I mean? The bigger capitalists they got more trust and they have more credibility with them. So they're able to get $300 million or $100 million to scale this idea they have. What they didn't have, though, was they didn't have influence, and they didn't have, it wasn't authentic. You having some mainstream artists telling a bunch of kids they should be independent when he never was ever, he's not even known for that. That's Neo, Exactly. So that doesn't correlate, but what they see is, again, they don't really understand that. All they see is black, music, it must make sense. And they try that. Everything is an algorithm and a formula.
That's right.
Not really a lot of realness going on. So for us, it was like, all right, instead of building really tall and everybody is seeing what we're doing and, we're able to get knocked over all easy and stuff, I need to build wide. So let me build with people. Let's go get brick and mortar, old school, instead of the app thing, let's go get a building. We started off with the small studio on the east side of here. It just worked. You know what I mean? Artists and the kids in that area. It's not a lot in that area too. It's probably one of the roughest areas in Columbus, but it was very respected and stuff because every kid in that area saw it as their way out. So everybody treated it as if it was their own. So it never had any issues in that area. What happened was we started getting double booked and we got really full and the area was small and it just wasn't the best area. So we ended up moving here a couple months ago and it's 5 times bigger than where we were at. It's downtown and we're growing. You know, we have a lot of artists and again it's people based. So it's a lot easier for me now 3 years later to roll out an app or cryptocurrency or whatever, and everybody understand and be on the same page as far as what we're doing and why we're doing it before they try to create a narrative for me for why I'm doing what I'm doing. You know?
I can definitely understand that.
But you,
You know, just to interject, what a lot of people don't understand is a lot of platforms where they have a lot of viewers, Google, Facebook, Bing, AOL, you name it. Their business is to be in business for themselves. Facebook is in the business of making money for Facebook, not for me, not for Vaughn, not for Frazier.
Absolutely.
And whenever you start getting traction to the point where you're leveraging their massive audience to make money, they start to make notice and they say, "Well, look, you know, we can't let him get to
Right.
10 million people
Right.
and make money off us and we're not making money." And that's when they always, always, always start to clamp down. You ever notice that's why when you go to Facebook ads, they'll be like, if you spend $25, we'll put your ad in front of 100 people. And
Right.
I always say, well, why would you do that when you have all my search parameters in
yeah,
place? Even if you put my ad in front of a million people for 10 minutes, that will be better than you supposedly putting my ad in front of 25 people for 20, I mean, 200 people or 100 people for $25. You
Mm-hmm.
see what I mean? But it's their platform and they control it. And
Right.
that's where a lot of people get stuck because they spend hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars with Facebook, and they don't understand why the Facebook ads don't work, or they don't understand why
Right.
Facebook cut them off because they can just do it. Like
Right.
Twitter and everything else, it's a
It's,
private platform. It's not a public company, even though they're selling stocks. It's still a private company, and they
absolutely.
they they can wake up one morning and change the rules. I mean, look at the president. The president never thought his Twitter account would be cut off until his
Right.
Twitter account got cut off. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So the former president, should I say? So that being said, you know, we always have to be mindful of where we put our time, where we put our money, where we put our influences, where we put our resources, because the biggest resource that we have is time.
Mm-hmm.
Back to your company,
yeah,
explain some of the things for the listeners that you are bridging, like some of the Spotify things you're bridging, some of them. Frage, I don't know, you lost this for a minute. He
yeah,
actually has a film development company in
yeah.
that
He's doing a lot
building.
of stuff over there. He's doing a lot of things over there. Videos, everything in house.
Yes, we
He do
are. We just had I got a guest on, Brandon Cameron, last night, who's
yeah,
developing films out of Chicago.
mhm,
So, you know, Ohio and Chicago's, that's not far of a drive. Excuse me, Ohio and Illinois, that's not at
nope.
all, you know, to get a lot of things done. So, how are you bridging some of those gaps, like besides the cryptocurrency? Because I've dealt in it a little bit, I've heard about it a little bit, but cryptocurrency can be because it's starting now to get on the radar of the U.S. government and how it's
Right.
regulated.
Right. So yeah. So outside of that, and that's a project that's still probably ways out in development. You know what I mean? It's still some more groundwork that we need to make. Um, just in real life, you know what I mean? And before we do that, but I mean honestly, you know, you never know. And I kind of made a post about it on Instagram because we had commercials and everything. We were ready to roll everything out 3 years ago. That
Yeah,
it was just too early. It was just too early. Nobody understood what we were doing, what I was trying to do. You know, it was, and so we pulled the plug. But now it makes a lot more sense to people now. So we're starting to get supporters and people that say that they can help, help get that out. So, we'll see. But besides that, I'm really like interested in virtual reality. I think there's a lot of ways for artists to express themselves in a new way. It's 2021, so to me, it's only so much a music video, like it's only so good it can be. I mean, we've pretty much seen every type of film and video. I think that
That's right.
can
yeah,
keep everybody that engaged. And as far as an album goes, I love music. I listen to a lot of music. We have so much access to music. All the endorphins and stuff are fried now. So even music is a little bit more dull. You know, it's very hard to find an album unless you go find a classic, but something new that really just has you just stuck to it, and that's like your thing. So music is even, we're consuming it a lot faster. And to me, I think, you know, with Fortnite and the way that things are going, it only makes sense for albums to be something that kids are actually walking around and engaging in, and not just listening to. And I see, you know, virtual reality goggles and headphones and really interactive, engaging albums that have the look and feel and story of the artist and whatever that particular project is. And there's a lot of stuff that you can put in that world that, you know, whether it be bonus songs or content that they can collect within it. So it's kind of, you know, it's out there, but it's closer than we actually think it is. So
Well, it's there now. Okay, if you go to YouTube right now, YouTube has a plugin to where you can watch a video in virtual reality. It's there right now. There were a few companies that
consumer friendly version of the Oculus that now everyone can have them in their home. So it's very, very near, you know.
So if you're working on an album and a guy can just be sitting there watching you work in virtual reality or in a music video, and every time you're just looking back at him to make him feel like he's in the video. Okay, that type of interaction has never been done before. I mean, we see it in movies.
Yeah, it have been done. Actually, it have been done. If you ever look Steve Jobs, you know why Steve Jobs was so innovative in technology and everything. When he lost his first company, he lost Apple the first time. When he started the other company that made the MacBook popular, right? Pixar, right? When he made Pixar, that was the first time anybody ever seen a cartoon actually interacts with the audience more without having too much double screening, black gleaming. He learned that actually from China. If you ever know, China does everything one step at a time. The virtual reality goggle, they have it. They have 5 packs of gag over there. But the thing of it is, like go back to Grave said and George saying, to get it integrated here was a lot harder to do because the fact of the matter is we're not open to new technology that we think we are. Mm-hmm. We're actually scared of new technology. Because exactly, think about it. When iPhone first came out, I want an iPhone. Why I want that for? I like Samsung. Samsung easier to move around, right? So guess what? So go back to the app. He went with Apple Music. You know, everyone Apple Music cloud because we had a problem storing the music.
Right.
We can never store it. So what he did was he made where you can actually store the apps, store the music, store everything in one particular platform where you don't have to lose it, but you can actually upload it and start something new and put more stuff in your system. So he also did 2 things. 1, he saved space on your cell phone. 2, he invented storage space, which now known as iCloud.
Right.
And then it was iCloud, you know? So, I mean, like you say, you always have to think on top of everything. He has a quote saying that the time you stop integrating and creating, this time you stop living.
Absolutely.
Living is creating. Living is being something above what you normally think in your mind. And go back to what Disney said. Imagination is the key to life.
That's right.
Do not have imagination. You cannot create new innovation, new technology. You cannot create things to come out. Like, if you have an idea that people haven't actually focused here, which guess what? That's your key. That's your niche. Mm-hmm. The thing with it, you say, is to find people to buy into it. The whole key of the thing to buy into it. Steve Jobs had the same opportunity. That's why you ever notice why TED got so popular. The app TED got so popular because people ideas who try to integrate people to understand their ideas better and put out there better, so they can actually. Oh, you know what? That's actually a really good idea. I never thought of that. Believe it or not, remember the first drone was introduced on TED. Remember that? The guy flew around the whole freaking thing. How that is? Drone came out. You know, it wasn't that popular, but it came out there. You know.
Yeah.
So go back to saying that is like what other things said for off integration, but the technology. You have like say go back Avatar, movie Avatar. It's very similar to that. Virtual reality, jumping into it. It took them almost 15 years just to make the movie. You know, right?
Star Wars, I think, kind of like that too, right? Didn't Star Wars?
All that stuff. But more, actually, Star Wars a little bit shorter because Star Wars he did it when Lucas made his own actually studio. He put all the technology needed in that studio. That's why his studio is one of the top studios. Even China come to him now to get stuff done because the fact of the matter is what he did was. Like he said, Grave, you did yours. Like George was saying, he took the idea, his imagination. He thought, How would I put a whole entire world to life and have no technology? Remember, it's the 80s now. Technology wasn't that
No,
great.
it was the 70s. Okay,
70s, right?
you
70s
they
wasn't that
actually
great.
used cutouts, and that's what they were
Yeah,
using
exactly. But
for the
remember, you
original
ever
Star
notice?
Wars. But it
Like,
wasn't till
remember,
wait, hold on, let me finish. It wasn't until 1999 when the technology had caught up to his thought process. That's why he went back and redid all of them because now he could put the technology back into the movies, and what he saw in his mind was able to come to the screen.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, but you want to though. To go back to our human mindset is very short attention span. Now I don't know about you. You seen the first couple of Star Wars? They would never made a whole series.
All right.
It would never made it. If he did the first three Star Wars as it was, they would never made it. Would not be as popular as right now
Mm-hmm.
because the way the story start off, it takes a long time to pick up.
Right.
That's why certain apps take a long time to develop.
Mm-hmm.
Certain technology take a long time to develop. So that's why I'm saying to you, the question to you is, have you thought other innovative ways to bring your virtual reality to life outside of the box, outside of that gray box of technology, and use they say like you know what you need? Have you thought of somebody can find to actually help you develop what you need?
So
Right.
yeah, so we have there's a guy, Rob Rodriguez, man. He actually the one that really introduced me to the concept because he invited me up there. He's from Dayton, and invited me up there. He had opened up a virtual reality arcade in Dayton, and I never heard of that. So I went up there, and the concept of it was amazing. Problem was the market up there just wasn't for that type of business. So it didn't last long, but the idea and the concept was there. So I'm like, well, look, we should take this to Columbus. It's a lot more people in where I'm from, and I have a platform and I have a studio that has artists coming in and out here all day long, waiting on sessions, just
Right.
networking. There's always something going on here, and a lot of content being created. Why not start to introduce VR to them that way, where it's just something for them to do while they're waiting on sessions? But eventually, now we can start integrating and rolling out different types of simulations for them. Like a lot of kids, and maybe not so much now, but I know like in the '70s and stuff, you had a lot of artists that wanted to take psychedelics in order to experience something
Yeah,
that
yeah.
inspired music. Well,
Just
instead of psychedelics, if you could just do it through the virtual reality, you know what I'm saying, instead of taking
yeah,
something, that could be something cool that could be used for it. Another thing is just different environments. I'm a big storyteller. I was an English major in
yeah.
college, so
Nice.
so I love to read, and I love writing, and everything to me is a story anyway. So um, from a story standpoint, when I'm saying albums, I'm also speaking from the sense of a fan of Drake being able to live or go through a day of Drake's life um, by through his album. So starting from the time Drake wakes up to waking up in his huge crib and Lil Wayne calling him and beautiful women walking around, shower, and a whole setup, almost like you're watching a movie, but you're in it. And you can look around and you can walk around and go open up the blinds and look out his window and stuff. And then you have something to do and you leave and you go to the car and you're driving in the back of a Maybach with the tinted windows and you're riding, listening, and his music is playing and you can roll the window down and people see you and chase the car and all that stuff. A whole life of Drake in an album. You know what I'm saying? Things like
Right.
that is more so
Yeah.
what I'm saying, or even just where every song is a different room, and the room
Nice.
looks like whatever the song sounds like. And when you leave the room, the next song starts. So you can go backwards and forwards, just like you're going forward and backwards.
Nice.
You know what I mean, on Apple Music and stuff. And then if you get through and listen to the full album, because me as a writer too, I love really good albums. I like Lupe
Yeah.
Fiasco, I like Kanye, I like conceptual projects, I like projects that have beginning, middles, and ends. I like stories, and I never understood why, as consumers, we skip around music and we just listen for singles and we're looking just for like moments and songs and we listen to albums out of order and stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But then like we don't do that to movies. We don't go watch a movie and just because we've seen it already, we don't skip around and watch our favorite
Exactly.
scenes in a movie and then get up and leave and go do something. You know what I mean? It has to be context. So we sit and we'll watch a movie from beginning to end. So I don't understand why we don't listen to music like that. And I don't,
Well, it's
think,
also artists too. Not to cut you off, it's also artists too. A lot of times the concept of big artists and big business really started with Barry Gordy and Motown. You know, the reason why Motown went under is because he spent a lot of money in artist development. You see what I mean? And they weren't pushing albums and pushing records until he just couldn't get past
Yeah.
the millions that he owned.
I
So
didn't know.
that ideal that you said from start, middle to end
Mm.
died when the A&Rs came and the big producers came and, oh, we have this song and we have that song, and the artist is so overwhelmed, and then the label goes, well, you know what, we got to get this out. So and so just dropped this. This is hot. This is what we think. And you have to think about some of those artists that stuck to their guns, that said, no, 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 this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to do it. So Fuji's came out with an album, start, middle, end.
Yep.
Maxwell came out with an album, start, middle, end. You see what I
Yep.
mean? Nas came out with his first
Yep.
album, start, middle, end.
Mm.
Sade comes out with all these albums, start, middle, end. You see what I mean? And
Yep.
those are the albums that you can play from track 1 to
Yep.
track 10 or
Exactly.
15 or whatever.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Prince, start, middle, end.
Yep.
You know, all the other artists that come in, they're just scatterbrained because they're listening to their A&R, supposed to listening to themselves. You know,
Right.
so the business jumps in the way of their creativity. And then when the album falls, they go, "Oh man, you had a bad album." No, those weren't all the ideals that I came with.
Right.
Exactly.
You see what I
Exactly.
mean? Those are
Right.
your ideals and your
Exactly.
producers. Everybody else that you thought had, if I would have done this myself, I would have done this.
Exactly.
Right.
That's why Jodeci was so successful, because Devontae was the producer and he didn't let anybody get in the way of to what the vision was for Jodeci. He would
Yep.
let some producers come in and help, but if it didn't fit the vibe, it wasn't going on the album. And he had his hands on everything. So the first album was a start, middle, end. Second album was a start, middle, end for
Yep.
Jodeci. Said, and
Right.
so it's that concept that you have to instill in people. And I think now that music has now gone back to the artists. In other words, you can do your own album, you can upload your album on any platform, and you can sell your album without big music companies coming in and controlling that
Yep.
vision. Is where we're going to see a lot of things take off, because it doesn't take that much anymore. You got an artist selling a record for $4.99, a whole EP, and he sells 10,000 records. He just made 50 grand. You see what I'm saying?
Mm.
Yep.
Whereas, and he doesn't have to pay that money back.
Mm.
That's what I'm saying. So there's no, he made 50 grand, but he only gets a check for $5. No,
Right.
Yeah.
all of that is his. You see what I mean?
I
So
think I think it's also important to note that music isn't as it's not bought the same way.
Yeah.
It's a lot of it is also very dependent on, again, going back to streams and stuff. And so um, artists need to look outside of the music itself. I always kind of advise them to let the music be. You're developing all these assets. You know, and that's essentially, you have something that you can put out there that can gain you
Yep.
a residual income over time. So you want to be able to make those assets as valuable as possible, and make them as shiny and sound as great as they can, so that they can exist out there. But don't base your life off of trying to sell music, because it's just a different climate. Make money the same way everybody else is making money off of your music.
Yep.
That's not an artist. You know what I'm saying? Because all they're doing is they're using it's marketing. They're using your music to sell their stuff. So let's figure out something creative, a product or service that you can offer. I have an artist now, man. He's an engineer. His name is Jay Mills. He's only 19, maybe 20. And he's an amazing engineer, but he's also an artist, loves his music. And so you have a lot of artists that are out here that would love to do their music full time, but can't afford it because they have
Right.
bills. And so they go get jobs at stuff that has nothing to, that's very counterproductive to their goal and their dream.
Yeah.
They go get a job at the bank or something, you know what I mean, doing something else. And my whole thing is, what do you do well? What can you do for other people? What can you do for other people? Mills makes everybody's music sound better, so he's able to sustain his life. Not just that, but
Yep.
now he can take the money he's making and invest into new cameras and into more music videos,
Exactly.
into promotion and marketing and stuff. He's leveraging his talent to make him money, not his music, because the music isn't selling like that, but
Yep.
his actual skill set. And he's still in the studio every day. And he's still doing what he does. And I don't care if you do photography. You know what I mean? Let's bulk that up and that be your business base. Or if it's a product that you can offer that's just really unique to you. I'm also encouraging them to do more strategic partnerships with small businesses, especially Black businesses. I think that with restaurants and things like we have an artist Elijah Banks. He's also super dope. But he has a song called Gushy, and so to me, it just makes a lot of sense. Let's go find a ice cream shop, and let's go pitch to them, a Gushy cone, and let's go, see if we can create some sort of partnership that we can use our facilities to create a commercial that also serves as a music video that sells both their product, also makes your music more popular, also gives you, a business that you work with, so other businesses also want to come and figure out how much it costs to work with you to get a commercial or something for their product. And let's see if we can even get a piece of that cone that they sell that has your song name on it or something like that. So just being more creative, thinking outside the box that way, as far as how, as an independent artist, how am I going to make a living making music? Do you have to be Drake and make, be the number one artist, or are you comfortable making $80,000, $85,000 a year, but it pays your bills and you still live very comfortable and you're making music every day? Because you don't make that now at your regular job anyway. You know what I mean? So what difference does it make if you are only an $85,000 to $100,000 a year artist? You know what I'm saying? Being an artist though. So, and I think for a lot of our artists are a lot younger. I just turned 30 in October. But a lot of our artists are between the ages of 18 and 20 through 24. So me just thinking back on my experience at that age and stuff, I understand where they're coming from.
Right.
And I would have thought the way I do now then. So for me, it's putting that in them now and helping them think outside of that, why they want things. Why do you want to be an artist? Do you like to talk? Some of them, you ask them enough questions and they'll realize they don't even like rap. They don't even want to be a rapper because the lifestyle isn't even conducive to what they want to be. They just like music. Maybe it's not rapping for you. Maybe it's this. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
To do that. So things like that, man. I think it's just for me. The goal is to inspire, empower, educate, and influence. And by creating different hubs and creating a bunch of studios all around the world, it just gets me closer to those communities and then able to build communities in those cities around what we do really, really well, which is language and culture and music and arts.
Exactly.
Well, let me ask you, your funding. How are you funded? Are you tapped into the city, state, and federal grants? Um, what are you doing? Are you fundraising? Because I know you're in Ohio right now. You said you're going to California next year, and then the following year you're going to be in North Carolina.
Right. So right now it's just grinding, man. Like we do really well as a recording studio. We're always booked. So it's just rolling over. And for us, like, I play Tycoon on my phone a lot. And so I was playing Tycoon and it taught me a lot about business. And this is when we really started seeing a lot of growth, which last year. For a while, we weren't really doing anything. I'm sorry. And, but we had the one studio and, we brought on this kid, the J Mills kid I was telling you guys about. And it's like a barber. He's like the hottest barber in the city. You know what I'm saying? It's just for music. So it wasn't the studio and stuff that people were attracted to so much. It was who was mixing their music.
Right.
We went and got him, and once that one unit got so full that we couldn't fit anybody on our schedule anymore because we were booked up weeks in advance, we needed another one. And so I had an office I was barely using anyway because they didn't have any windows or anything. And we just turned that into another unit like Tycoon. Brought in another one that had a lot of clients and had a lot of a lot of clients, a lot of clout, a lot of influence that was bought into what we were trying to build as a unit. And then he brought his clientele over, and then I just scaled it. You know what I mean? Then I just added another one, and then once we got that, then we saved up enough money to then be able to put a deposit on this place here, and then we just built out. Now I offer rental space for photographers and stuff too. We still have everything we were doing before, and now I'm just adding piece by piece more revenue streams within the space and then hopefully I can come into enough funding, this year to where we can scale a lot faster than we are. You know what I mean? But
What kind of funding are you talking about, real quick? How much are you talking about?
I mean, not a lot. I mean, I'm not. To be honest, just enough to get the next studio up. So like, I don't want to, again, like, trying to just stay as independent as possible. Well, I'm talking like $50,000 to $100,000. You know what I mean?
Okay, that's still real money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's not impossible. And we'll have a few conversations after the show or sometime to be able to get you to that, because that's something that you should be able to source without going into debt or without giving up
Exactly.
equity or any type of equity positions to be able to do that. So
Absolutely. Yeah, that'd be great, actually.
absolutely. Go
Exactly.
ahead, Fraser.
No, well, I was gonna say to piggyback what you're saying too, like back when you said about how the innovative music and stuff, how back then you had DVDs stuff like that, and you know what, back then bootleg was starting to come up, whatever, and a lot of people overlapping. Company was tapping into the artist money, whatever. And I always bet one thing. I bet R. Kelly, because the reason why I said that is because at one point, remember his music album started to decrease in sales. Then he came out with Trapped in the Closet. He one of the first artists to tell a story throughout the whole album and had you hooked on it. You remember the part 1, part 2, part 3? And
Oh, there was like 26 parts to that.
exactly. But each part had it, like you go back and say with the virtual reality, each part had a different song connected to it. Each part had a different storyline to it. Each part had a different theme to it, different theme. And then at the end, go back what George said, beginning, middle, and he ended it and tied everything together. And he even put a little comedy into it. We're like, what the hell? A little midget came out, like a little thing, what the? And he drew people in. He found another innovative way to draw the artist, make money to get more clientele without having to do what? Boil that music out, sell out to get music over comfort. And on top, he also helped other artists who were struggling to build themselves up too. And he made his money back. Think about it. He helped Charlie Wilson get back, Ozzy Brothers. I mean, think of all the people he had did songs with, and he went up. And that's all I tell me when I was doing my music. I did a lot of collaborations. A lot of people come in, like you come in here, help you out, over here, and we help each other out. That's why I said I like what the concept you're doing is to build a community where you can actually grow each other.
Absolutely.
You get the producers, you get the artists, the marketing team, you get everything. That's all I did. Now my company I had guy that does my beats for me by himself. Brilliant guy. Had artists. The only 2 artists, perfect, brilliant. And I did most of the managing contracts. And the marketing part of it, we did ourselves. See, here kept the artist. Go old school way. You get this right here, this right here. So that's why now the digital platform took it away from us. You know, the apps, the iMusic, stuff like that. So that's why he's saying it's hard to get into the app, because the reason why is you got Sony, Atlantic Records, you got which one? A lot of other artists records not coming out. You got P Diddy album coming out, Slip Slide Records. I mean, you got all these people that come out and develop at the same time. So you got way more. Even you was on top, you'd have a lot more fight to get up there because they're already known.
You're right, absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
And you're fighting the name. That be one thing. In the music, you fight 2 things: the business aspect and the name of the artist, a name of the person who you fighting here. Like Bob Gordy, even though he's not in music anymore, but his name alone will get you inside the door. Quincy Jones or Quincy Jones. Oh, come on in. You know, those names have established so much hype and so much credibility behind it. To you don't have to do much now. Say when you partner with Quincy Jones, develop an app. Your app will surpass anybody app, just the name alone on it. In less than 1 month. You know why? You bring his fans over, his 20-something billion fans over. Europeans love Quincy Jones' work. You know, everybody love the work. You'll draw a man quicker. But see, you don't know your name like me. I come on, oh, Fraser. Who was he?
I think another thing too is knowing when to get in and out in certain situations. I think that the beauty of it is in the beginning when I saw music, I didn't see. Originally, it was an app. As it started to develop, and I started to really see the bigger picture of what it was that I was doing, it became apps plural, right? It became digital products, and so from there, that's even a future part of the business model. Because I mean, it's eventually somebody is going to come in and they're going to want to, I mean, and if Facebook offers us, $1 billion for that idea, I got 1 million of them. So you can have it.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? We take the $1 billion, we reinvest back into what we're doing. We go build more communities and stuff. You know what I'm saying? And we got 1 billion ideas. We can do this all day, and they can give us $1 for every single one of them.
Believe it or not, it's a guy that actually sells ideas. He don't even sell a product. He sells idea of a product that could potentially make money. He built business plans, and he goes and say, "Look, this is my projection in 5 years. This is operating costs. This is how I'm gonna break it down. This is my new 5-year plan, integration plan to increase technology and also improve your product management in less than 20 years."
Mm-hmm.
So most companies wait less than 20 years. What are you talking about? You got the attention, or you didn't get the attention.
Mm-hmm.
Pull him in. Now he goes sell ideas to that company, like you say. Many more ideas go. Now he goes to sell a similar idea to a competitor.
Absolutely.
The other competitor. Then there's another way to do it too. You build a company to gain competitors.
Yeah.
So you surpass the other competitors. Now they come back to you, and what I call it a buyout system. The guy that do it purposely. He builds a company up and sells it.
Yep.
Yeah.
What he do is he put in a contract, a no competitive contract. They have to waive that. In order to go, if they order to actually buy the company, they have to waive no competitive clause in their contract.
Right.
So when you buy the company, I can go start that company, but down the street, you can't tell me I can't, because you waive their right to tell me I can't do it. You see what I'm saying?
That's deep. And then that's essentially what the kids were doing in the house with these apps. They were fixing them up and then just reselling them again too. So,
exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Once you have the body and the foundation, that's it. All apps work a certain way. The feeling that you put in there is a little bit different.
But they all are battling, again, from a marketing standpoint, though, depending on what it is. But if it's an app, then they're trying to reach a certain age group as well. So, yes, Quincy Jones could do the same thing. However, Quincy Jones is 70 plus or whatever years old. So are the kids going to download and use it, or are they going to spend a lot of money building this thing that is not going to be around that long anyway? And so the one thing that they are willing to pay for is who has ear and keys to the future of our business. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
They're looking the next 10, 20 years. Where's that at? You know what I'm saying? And where are those consumers going to come from?
Exactly. I call it the first man in the market value theory. First man in the market theory. First one to do it, first one to profit.
That's right.
And you know about it. And the government also give you the patent for up to 5 years without any competition. Before you allow even the market to come with competition to you. So you can't make your money in 5 years. It's a problem. What we do is the 5 years, make $1 billion company, $1 billion this. And what do it? They start leasing the rights to the idea to other companies to improve their own idea. So they still make money. You do the same theory over and over again. And what you do is you kind of cut out the middleman. You build yourself. And that's the best thing about when you're doing business for yourself. You can do the things. You have nobody tying you down.
Right.
Third party.
Well, listen, our hour is up, Von. There's still a lot more to talk about, man. We definitely loved having you on the show. Definitely want to have you back again as things start moving a little bit more for you. Tell them where they can find you on social media.
Yep. So it's actually, if they could see my handle right here, I made it easy for them, but it's @VonGraves_. Also, they can check out our website, Usic Brand, USIC. Music is undiscovered music. So musicbrand.com, musicbrand.shop. They can support us that way by buying merch and hoodies and stuff. Everything is like a week delivery, so it's not bad. But yeah, and just continue to just watch us, watch out for us. But I'm definitely I'm very ambitious, and very patient as well. So
One more question for you. Before you go, you got any tips for young people who actually trying to go in the same direction you're going into that you can give them to help them make it a little easier?
Yeah, collaboration is important. You know, collab, not compete. I think that you're a lot stronger together. Even if you got 5,000 followers, you know, just go find, you know, 100 friends that got 5,000 followers, and y'all all just kick it with each other and post each other on each other's pages and stuff, and grow that way. You know what I'm saying? That's a million eyeballs right there. Even if they don't follow you, you're all around each other all the time anyway. So so you still got a million eyeballs looking at your products and stuff. And then also, you know, you got to give to receive. So don't hold on to money and hoard it. It's so tight and not, you know, be willing to spread it around so it can come back to you.
Man, look, that's great advice. Y'all heard it here. Okay. Collaboration, not competition.
Exactly.
Well, listen, brother, we definitely appreciate you for being on the show.
I
Um,
appreciate y'all.
definitely, no doubt. And you'll be hearing
Thank you.
from
Thank
us,
you.
especially from me, man. So have a good weekend, man, and keep it going.
Enjoy, man. Keep it going, brother.
No doubt.
George.
Oh, man, that was a good show, Fresh. That was a good,
Exactly.
deep conversation, but we need to have those deep conversations. You got young brothers out there doing really big things, man, so it's definitely big. But that's our show, fans. Y'all have a good weekend. I'm going to keep my eyes on the weather,
Yes.
keep everything going, but it's definitely all good.
It's okay,
George,
George. This is Fred.
that was real talk with George and Fraser. Peace.
Peace.